Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. What a show we got lined up. Denver Broncos going into Buffalo. A lot of money's been coming in on Denver throughout the week. We've got Bryan Power today, who's going to take that game apart, tell us exactly how to bet it. As well, Carmine Bianco joining us at the end of the show, and he's got a prop bet for us on tonight's football game. So much more. I'm Lawrence Presman. You're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet, and that handsome old guy is Teddy Covers, my co-host. Bryan Leonard joining us right off the bat. Bryan, every Monday, first guest. Welcome to the show. It's Half Price Monday, brother. How are you? You ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock. I got a couple of college basketball plays up there for clients today. I can get them both for $9.50 on Half Price Monday.
There we go.
Well, Bryan, you wanted to talk a little bit Week 11 NFL. The lines are just coming out last night, this morning. They're moving as we speak. Let's start with the Miami Dolphins coming off the bye against the Las Vegas Raiders, winners of 2 straight. They beat the New York teams at home in Antonio Pierce's first 2 games. Now, obviously, the competition gets a little bit tougher. Looking at the WagerTalk Live odds screen this morning, I'm seeing Miami, let's call it -10, total sitting 48 as we speak. What do you want to do with our Raiders and the Dolphins?
Yeah, you mentioned getting these up early. They're both on key numbers right now, and I'm not quite sure they'll end up on those numbers later on, which is why I'll put them out right now. And I'm going to take a look at this Vegas-Miami game. In fact, we're going to feature both teams that played last night on Sunday Night Football. Big scheduling advantage here for the Dolphins. They're off of a bye, while the Raiders just played on Sunday Night Football and have to travel east. Going into last night's game, the Dolphins had a plus 100 point advantage over the Raiders on the season. That's pretty impressive so far. And Vegas has just won one road game on the season. And Miami's a perfect 4-0 straight up at home. So I can guess where I think this line is going to go. Not only is Miami off of a loss, it was against the Kansas City Chiefs. In fact, if you go look at the Dolphins' schedule so far this season, they have 3 losses against the Bills, the Eagles, and the Chiefs. 3 teams favored to make it deep in the playoff runs this season. Vegas starting a very young quarterback who will need to match points with this fast Miami offense. I haven't seen any signs that they're going to be able to do that consistently. They were lucky to play the Jets, whose offense is even worse than the Raiders, and we saw what happened in that one. Touchdowns were very rare in that game, and you can't beat the Dolphins without scoring touchdowns. The Raiders' defense ranks 31st against the run and has a weakness against speedy receivers. In Miami, as we all know, fastest receiving corps in history of the NFL. Miami's been held to 14 by the Chiefs and 17 by the Eagles 2 weeks prior. They're off of a bye. You know what they'll be working on. They'll be working on their offense. Miami will be back to their old successful selves offensively on Sunday. I'm laying the 10 now because I don't think that'll be there come later in the week. Bad matchup for the Raiders, especially after the way this game ended this week and last week. A lot of emotion, but now they got to get on the road and travel across country to a team that's waiting on them. We'll take Miami. We'll lay the double digits.
Bryan, I get it, and I agree with you that the line will move against Miami, especially with so much public betting going on. But I have a question for you, and Teddy can go after if he wants. You know, Miami and Tua have shown weakness on being pressured. And one thing we know about Vegas, they can pressure that quarterback. That's my worry in this game. A lot of sacks coming out of Vegas, especially of late. They're going to get edge rushers in that backfield. Does this concern you at all?
Oh, yeah, it always does. But like as I mentioned, the Raiders are terrible against the run. And Miami can slow that down by running the football. I think they've got an excellent coach, and they'll find ways to battle against that. But all you need, when you've got the speed that Miami's receivers have, you don't have the concerns on a down-to-down basis. You could just hit one of those every drive, and that's 30, 40 yards. And that's where I think they'll take the big advantage is in the passing game. They get the protection. they can get those guys down the field. And we saw last night, the Jets had many opportunities to get the ball downfield, and they just didn't sync up on that the passing routes. But that's the Jets offense and the Miami offense are two different animals, as they say.
Teddy,
Lawrence,
good. Teddy, how was my
Lawrence?
question, Teddy? Was it an acceptable question?
Outstanding.
Wow, it's gonna be a good day, everybody. Okay, Bryce. So, speaking of the Jets, they're playing Buffalo next week, and obviously we have Buffalo still to play tonight. Bryan Power is going to take that game apart in about 7 to 10 minutes. But you want to talk about the Jets game. The line is already up. It's -6.5. I think there's 7s out there against the New York Jets. Yeah, it has moved to 7. I love Buffalo in this spot, Brian. I'm hoping that you do too.
I think you've got a winner, at least from what I'm looking at here. The 6. I sent it over to 6.5 last night, as we do most of the time. If we send it over to a certain number, that number gets played. So now it is up to 7. I saw 6.5 -120. But the Jets against Buffalo next week. We're looking at Buffalo here. Both teams will be playing on short weeks, with the Jets having an extra day to prepare. But that said, New York has to travel across the country while Buffalo remains at home. Going into last night's matchup at the Raiders, the Jets ranked 31st in total offensive yards per game, just ahead of their brethren in New York, the New York Giants. They were also 31st in passing yards per play. The running game has been effective per play, but because the Jets rarely have a lead, they can't use their running game. They have to pass the ball more often. So it's one of the rare occasions where they've got really good numbers in running against running per play, but running per game, not as well. Defensively, the Jets have been very good, ranking 3rd in yards per play and 2nd in passing yards per play. No doubt, this Jets defense is solid. They were solid again last night, but you have to play both sides of the football, and that's what this Buffalo team does. The Buffalo offense ranks in the top 5 in yards per play. Passing yards per play, also top 5. Running game has been middling, so it hasn't been that great, but I do like the Bills' passing situation here. They take much better care of their quarterback. They rank 2nd in sacks per pass attempt compared to 29th for the Jets. The Jets under pressure all last night, as you mentioned, from that Raiders defense. The weakness of the Bills has been the defense. They've taken a step back this season. They're 26th in yards per play, 30th in yards per play on the ground. But they're playing the Jets here, and the Jets offense has not done much. And going into last night's game, the Bills had a net point advantage between the two teams of 104 points. The Jets just beat the Bills. I guess they just didn't beat the Bills. They beat the Bills in the opener, 22-16, and that was the game Aaron Rodgers was hurt early on. Zach Wilson, produced a quarterback rating of 81.4 against a defense that didn't prepare for him. Now they'll be preparing for him, so I expect a much better game out of the Buffalo defense. Josh Allen also threw 3 interceptions in that game, so he's had this game circled against this defense. Buffalo stock is at a season low right now. You mentioned money coming in on Denver tonight. Denver's a team playing great defense, but no offense once again. We expect this line to settle at 7.5 points, which is why we'll lay that 7 now. So there is that 6.5 -120 out there, but I feel confident laying 7 because I don't think that'll be there by the time Buffalo plays tonight. And then as this week goes on, Buffalo in revenge for an embarrassing loss in that first game of the season.
So let me ask you this, Brian, because a lot of times on the NFL opening line report, I talk about a parlay bet that you might want to make. If you like the Bills tonight, you parlay that with Buffalo next week, and you'll be getting the best of the number for Buffalo next week. What happens if the Bills lose tonight? I'm sorry, Lawrence?
If you parlay them on the money line tonight and next week, it is -148.
Oh, thank you for interrupting my train of thought.
My pleasure, Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy, that is correct. Anytime you're playing a game before it's played, it could go the other way.
Well, what I'm asking, my premise here is that the Bills have lost their last 5 against the spread. If they lose tonight, doesn't the market crash on Buffalo and maybe they don't lay 7 next week?
I think the market has already crashed on Buffalo, which is why you're seeing the 7 tonight. To me, this is their low point. If they lose this game, is it going to make that much of a difference as opposed to if they win? I think if they win and they look good tonight, it's, people like to play what they've seen lately, and teams on Monday Night Football that win take money. And I expect Buffalo to win this game. It may not be as easy as a lot of people think, but still, I think they've already hit the bottom. I think this is where they stop and come back the other way. Buffalo's too talented to lose these games, and I think they come out and play well. So, yes, I did weigh that because you always have to weigh that. Or if it goes to the, if they don't look good, it probably comes down to 6.5. If it goes up, if they do look good, it's over that. So I expect them to play pretty well tonight, and that's something you have to take into account on all those games when you're looking at the futures, and which is why over at the Westgate, I believe on Thursdays, where they still do the 5% juice over there, if you're picking them for the following week, they're willing to get that information from you and give you a better line because of that. So they're trying to do the same thing as I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get ahead of the curve.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. Bry, NHL still rocking and rolling, and what do you have to promote?
No NHL today, just a couple of games, and I'm kind of torn between the two. Nothing strong enough to release, but I do have, as I mentioned, 2 college basketball plays today. Normally $19, get them for $9.50. Both of our college basketball plays today, and I'm sure there's a lot of other good plays out there for the rest of the handicappers. So big day for Half Price Monday.
Bryan Leonard, everybody. Guys, stay with us all the way. Bryan Power joining us after Teddy's 6Bs. He's going to look at the Bills and Broncos tonight. College football Tuesday, Akron against Eastern Michigan. Carmine Bianco, he's got a prop bet for us in tonight's game and a bet for us on the New York Islanders Edmonton Oilers matchup, plus Teddy's big game breakdown. I just want to shout out my good pal Jessica Gensry. She's always in the chat room every day, and she wrote, Prez, since I bought your all-access package, I'm up $5,000. She bought it last week, guys, and she's up $5,000. Now, I have no idea how much money she's betting, and I'm guessing it's a fair amount. But I love to hear that, Jessica, and we had a great weekend as well. 4-1 Friday. I did lose on Saturday, 2-3, but I bounced back with a 4-2 Sunday for my clients. The run continues, and tonight, guys, I have a bet in every sport. 1 college basketball, 1 NBA, 1 NHL, and 1 NFL. It's half price Mondays. You guys can buy them all for only $14.50 over on my page at WagerTalk. Teddy covers, I love your blazer, my brother, and I love this segment. It's time for your 6Bs.
Let's do a little bad beats, a bad bets, a bad for the books, a recap of what just happened this past weekend. And we had some back from the dead in the fourth quarter covers in college football this week. How about Colorado State, -3.5 against San Diego State? The Rams are up 22-6 in the fourth quarter. The Aztecs reeling in every way. It hasn't worked all year, on the road, in the cold. And, of course, they put together 2 long touchdown drives. The Rams fumble in field goal range in between. And San Diego State punches in the last touchdown on 4th down in the closing minute to lose by only 3. Colorado State -3.5. That was tough to take. Texas -12 versus TCU. They lead by 20 going to the 4th. Touchdown punt, drive into TCU territory. Clock runs out. Longhorns do not win by margin. Tough beat if you had Texas. How about the Ohio State-Michigan total? Over 47.5. It's 35-3 at halftime. You got 38. You need 10 points second half. Well, you get a field goal. 38-3 final. Tough if you had that over. We already heard people complaining about it earlier in the show. The Falcons missed extra point. Changed the whole game. They lost by 4 at +3.5 at Pittsburgh. That was no fun if you had Atlanta. Another tough beat for Falcons backers. And, of course, Green Bay backers. And let's not forget the Ravens. They're up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter at home against the Browns. The defense collapses. The offense collapses. Pick six for Cleveland. Browns miss extra point. Doesn't matter. They rally to win 33-31. Tough beat if you had Baltimore in the NFL on Sunday. When it comes to bad bets, let's see. College football. Lots of Minnesota money against Purdue. Gophers opened the dog. Closed 2-point chalk. They lost by 19. Lots of Tennessee money at Missouri. The Vols opened the dog. Closed as 2-point chalk. They didn't lose by 19. They lost by 29. Minnesota, Tennessee, both bad bets. Money for Oregon and Oregon over all week against USC, closed 16.5 and 78. The Trojans came through the back door. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Could have used them as a bad beat, perhaps. Even that wasn't enough to send it over the total. The Ducks money, the over money, both lose bad bets. The Bet Air Force up to 20.5 at Hawaii, late-night bailout special. The Falcons didn't even score 20.5. They lost outright, 27-17. That was a bad bet. Betting against the Vikings was in every trend. The Saints bet up to -3. They got blown up by halftime and didn't sniff a point spread cover there. And, of course, there was lots of Ravens-Browns under money. The number 1 defense versus the number 2 defense in the NFL. Total closed 39. Both teams got in the 30s. That flew over the total. That would be considered a bad bet if you had that under. When it comes for bad for the books, college football on Saturday. Let's see. BC opened as high as -3 against Virginia Tech. They closed at +3. The Hokies blew them out by halftime. Virginia Tech, not a good result for the house. The Rutgers-Iowa total, 29-28 down to 27. 22-0 final. Another under with the lowest totals that we've ever seen in college football. Utah +10.5 versus Washington down to 9. That was a Wise Guy special. The Utes wire-to-wire cover. They lost by only 7. And the Wise Guys were all over Arizona State against UCLA, plus the points. The Bruins, -17 at the open, -14 by kickoff. They lost that game outright. A no-show for UCLA on Saturday night. Bad for the books in the NFL yesterday. Lots of San Fran money. Versus the Jags. 49ers blew them out. That was bad for the house. The Lions winning by exactly 3 at LA against the Chargers. That was bad for the house. Detroit opened as low as +1. Bet up as high as -3. The Wise Guys took out all the 3s before kickoff. Most bets won or pushed. Not many lost. That's never good for the house. The Bucks were a Wise Guy special yesterday. That wasn't good for the house either. They won by 2 touchdowns against the Titans. And there was nobody on this earth that I know of, at least, that bet the Giants yesterday. Dallas closed -17.5. They had that covered well before halftime and won by 32. Another bad result for the books. There you have it, Lawrence. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Back to you, sir.
Teddy, I love that segment. Outstanding stuff. Guys, a quick announcement before we bring Bryan Power on. Tomorrow will be a very special show. So all our regular listeners, you've got to watch tomorrow's show. You don't have to be in live, but make sure to watch tomorrow's show. We have an extremely special day planned. So make sure to be with us for tomorrow's show. Bryan Power, you're with us now. What an honor. How are you, man? How the bangs?
I'm doing all right. The bangs are okay, Prez. Coming off 3 straight winning days. I'm feeling good. Just trying to impress you guys again like I did last week. 2-0 on the show. And it is pronounced, in case if you forgot, Prez, Galatasaray. +1 came through. So hopefully I can give the people some good information again here in the next 5-10 minutes. And keep it rolling tonight on Monday Night Football.
Okay, there we go. So we got Galatasaray back into our show. Hopefully that's the last time. So Bryan Leonard came on. He likes Buffalo against the New York Jets for next weekend. We have a Buffalo game going tonight. They're -7 against the Broncos, and I think you like Buffalo. So tell us why.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Bryan Leonard had to say. Full disclosure, in terms of what I've given out to my clients, the Bills are the second leg of a teaser. Already cashed the first leg. Teasers have been going really well this season, 10-2, by the way. But why I decided to tease the Bills rather than lay the number, pretty obvious. Just need them to win now. It's a 7-point teaser, for the record. And I have my concerns a little bit in terms of covering the 7 with the Bills' defense, what we've seen in recent weeks, guys. They started out the year very good, this defense. They were a top 5 unit in DVOA. Then Milano goes down. Jones goes down. White goes down. The Bills have been a bottom 5 defense in DVOA since week 5. You go all the way back to week 4 when they beat Miami 48-20. That was a 5% win for me. I was the $2 capper that week, so that was a good play. But since then, the Bills have not won a game by more than 6 points. So I feel a lot more comfortable with the teaser situation than laying the number. That being said, Bryan Leonard said he thinks the Bills are kind of at the bottom of their market. I know you guys do an NFL marketplace segment on this show every week. I do buy low, sell high on the Power 5. And I would concur that right now the Bills are probably at the bottom of the market. I still have them power rated as the top 5 team in the league. Denver's a bottom 6 team in my power rankings. So this spread does look a little light to me. You talk about Buffalo's defensive issues of late. Well, Denver, last in the league in DVOA. They've given up the most rushing yards. I know a lot of that is still skewed because of the disaster against Miami. But say what you will about Josh Allen, guys. The Bills are second in the league in offense on DVOA. I think they're going to be able to put up points tonight. In terms of whether or not you want to lay the 7, which, again, I'm not personally doing, but I think if you wanted to play the spread, that is the way to go. I show value with Buffalo at that number. I'm seeing some 7.5s now pop up as we speak. I would not want to lay. I would never, Prez, you know me, I would never lay 7.5 in a football game. It's just not something I do. But there are plenty of teaser options next week. Like you guys, you could tease Buffalo this week with Buffalo next week. You could, you could tease Jacksonville down. You could tease Minnesota up. A lot of options there. But Ralph Michaels, he shared a tweet with us. And, if you want to just lay the points, I guess it's a good idea, according to Ralph, because teams off a win as a dog by 6 or more and getting 6 or more the following week, that's Denver, because they beat Kansas City 2 weeks ago, beat them outright. 20-57 ATS since 2010. So I would lay it, I guess, if I had to with Denver, Teddy, or with Buffalo, pardon me, but I feel a lot more comfortable with my teaser.
So I want to talk about you having the Bills in your top 5 right now, because to me, that stands out more than anything. All right. Buffalo had the 3 wins. They beat Las Vegas, they beat Washington, and then they blew out Miami, a Miami team that hasn't fared well when stepping up in class. In weeks 2, 3, and 4. Since that time, they scored 20 against the Jags, 14 against the Giants, 25 in a loss to the Patriots, 24 against Tampa, 18 against Cincy. The offense hasn't worked. They've been favored in 4 of those 5 games, and they've lost 2 of those 4 straight up and didn't sniff a point spread cover in the other 2. We've talked about their defensive injuries. We've talked about the offense not flowing. Denver's playing D. They just shut down Patrick Mahomes twice, and in between got a win as well with defense. What makes you so confident that the Bills are actually any good right now? Because this is a team that certainly was good last year and the year before. They haven't been very good for more than a month now. Is this a aberration?
Yes, I would say it is. You talk about Denver playing good defense against Kansas City. Let's not forget Patrick Mahomes had the flu in that game. As far as the Bills being top 5, I would throw, you can do this if you want. You don't have to. I would say, could you name 5 teams better than Buffalo still in the league that you would favor over Buffalo? I would.
I'll name 10.
Okay.
You can name 10. I could name 5. I could not name 10. But I want to talk about how you have Denver in the bottom 6. So
San Fran, Kansas City, Baltimore, Dallas, Philly, Miami, Cincy, Detroit, Cleveland. I all have power rated above Buffalo. Jacksonville, I have a half point behind.
I had the first.
Which of those teams isn't better than Buffalo?
Ahead of them.
San Fran, KC, Baltimore, Dallas, Philly, Miami, Cincy, Detroit, Cleveland. I need 4 of those teams that are worse than Buffalo.
I can give you 2.
Cleveland's not better than Buffalo. And I'm from
Cleveland and Baltimore.
I think Baltimore is better than Buffalo. All right, I know you guys. I'm just serving up a softball to you guys because I know there is such an obvious answer. I don't have Cincinnati rated as better than Buffalo, even though they just beat them 2 weeks ago. I don't.
I can accept. I think all 3 of those teams in that division are not better than Buffalo, but it's so close, Teddy, and I totally nothing you have said is egregiously wrong. Bry, I think I could name 6 teams worse than Denver.
I'll go with, obviously, the Giants, the Patriots,
Carolina,
the Panthers, the Cardinals, and the Commanders.
Rams, Bears, Commanders, Packers, Cardinals,
Yep,
Falcons, Titans, Raiders, Colts.
Yep. Well, I'm with Teddy on this one, Bri. So basically, in a nutshell, you need to rethink your power ratings.
I got a tease. I'm feeling pretty good. Like I said, I'm not laying the 7 personally. If you don't like teasers or whatever, go ahead and do it. Yes, there are some issues. I outlined the defensive issues, but that is why I feel a lot more comfortable playing it that way.
And
Brian,
I've got to say, Brian,
like,
in the history of WagerTalk Today, that might have been the toughest follow-up question.
Yeah.
Me and Prez are just barraging you. Yeah, what do you mean?
I'm all right.
8 teams that are. Yeah.
I'm all right
well
with
done.
it. I'm all right. Remember, Teddy, as you know, you're a very astute individual, as are you, Prez, for that matter. Power rankings are supposed to be predictive, right? It's not based on like what we saw the last 2 weeks. It's supposed to be predictive. I'm telling you that Buffalo, to me, and the books, I mean, they still keep hanging, -7s. I mean, how many times are the Bills have not been underdogs this year, right?
They were dogs.
I'm doing that off the top of my head. Oh, that's right, they were. And to be fair, I didn't think they should. Yeah, okay. But they were underdogs once. This is a team that's going to be, how many times have they been underdogs over the last 3 years? Again, I know that's previous years. I just have a lot of respect for this Bills team and what they can do. And I think moving forward, they are going to get it right.
Teddy, Anthony Marquez in the chat room says, you are the voice of reason. Reason wants its voice back. Bryan Power, Akron against Eastern Michigan. Tuesday college football. Please be quick.
Well, you're probably not going to find 5 worst teams in the country than Akron, but guess what, guys? We're taking them this week. I don't think Eastern Michigan, they should be a favorite really against anybody. These are 2 bottom 10 teams in the country. Look, each and every week here on WagerTalk TV, we talk about all these great games. This is not going to be one of them. These are 2 bottom 10 teams on the CBS Sports Network. Tuesday, I know Akron's got a ton of issues at the moment. They're 2-8, so they got nothing left to play for. They can't be bowl eligible. They did come back to beat rival Kent 2 weeks ago. Offense, not very good. They got shut out last week by Miami, but total yards in that game, Teddy, pretty even, 236 to 212. I reckon that not everybody watched that game, so I'll let you know. Akron had some tough calls go against them by the officials. They turned it over on downs 4 times, and there was a terrible interception thrown in the end zone late in the 4th quarter. I say that all as someone who laid the points with Miami against Akron in that game. But Eastern Michigan is not Miami. This is a team that's 5-9 against the number of the last 3 seasons as a favorite. Yes, they have covered twice this year in MAC play as chalk, but they were actually outgained in both of those games, once by Kent State, who is the dirt worst team in the country. That had to do with a onside kick going awry at the beginning of that game. So, Prez, I will keep it short and sweet and tell the fine folks, take the points with Akron in this absolutely dog game on Tuesday night.
Brian, real quick, I had a play on Eastern Michigan last week, plus the points against Toledo. It couldn't have been more wrong. They got blown out pretty well in that ball game. I think you were on the same side as me, so it's clear that neither one of us got a real good read on the Eagles right now. When you have a team that you lost with last week and now you're fading them this week, is that something you do a lot? Talk about that strategy in that situation as a handicapper, because to me it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, great follow-up there. Yeah, I did have Eastern Michigan, and a lot of it was, I can't speak for you, I don't know what your thinking was. Toledo, to me, was a team that every year always has a stinker under Jason Candle, and I was looking at it, I was like, I could see this being the stinker. It was more like, I think Toledo's going to have a letdown. But we watched the games for a reason, and watching that game, I was like, my God, I don't know about you, about 10 minutes in, I was like, why did I take Eastern Michigan? They're done. They have no chance. They just had their doors blown off right from the rip. The 49-23 final was actually misleading. They were down 49-9 before 2 garbage time touchdowns, outgained 508 to 255. And you talk about, okay, you take them 1 week, you fade them the next. Well, there's a change in role here, right? I was willing to take them. They were getting 19.5 in that game. Now they are a favorite. And as I laid out, this is a team that when laying points over the last couple of years has just not been good. Chris Creighton had what I believe the best road underdog record in the country coming into this year. really hasn't worked out so much. This offense is awful. Austin Smith, the quarterback for the Eagles, less than 100 yards passing against Toledo, which is hard to do in a game that you're trailing so much that the whole way you would think you'd be throwing, you would get some garbage passing yards. I just think this is an absolute snooze fest. Who knows? It could be like, Jets Raiders last night. First one to get to double digits wins the game. I would like to have the points in this situation.
Bryan Power, everyone. Guys, it's Half Price Monday. Every handicapper at WagerTalk.com, half price for their package. Bryan, what do you have going for the clients tonight? No, Bryan. He's gone.
In the NFL?
Go ahead,
there I
Bryan.
am again. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I was gone. Yeah, winning Saturday in college, winning Sunday in the NFL, and we're going to hope to have a winning Monday as well as we return to the hardwood, Prez. Should probably mention off to a 67% start in the NBA, 12-6 year to date. Have a best bet there. I will have 2 college basketball plays, one of which I'll be giving out for free on the College Basketball Show at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Brilliant. Bryan Power, everybody. Teddy covers. Make sure to watch tomorrow's show, Teddy. Just wanted to make a mention of that. I think it won't be a problem given that you're on every damn show. Okay, it's time for your big game breakdown and then Carmine Bianco.
A big game breakdown for Monday. Let's talk a little college football this weekend. Missouri, -11, 59.5 against Florida. Missouri's now 8-2 overall. They're off that blowout win over Tennessee, 36-7 in that ballgame. And really, it wasn't as close as the final score indicated. That game was a Missouri smackdown. The week before, they gave Georgia everything they could handle. My biggest concern on the Missouri side is, do they exhale here off the Georgia game and the Tennessee victory? But home finale, staying at home off a big win. This is a situation where momentum can absolutely carry forward. And Cody Schrager, the most exciting player in college football that no one's talking about, ran for over 200 yards. The former walk-on caught 5 passes for 116 last week. Obviously, he's been a different maker. But the key here is Brady Cook, who's been shredding opposing defenses of late. And that's a problem for this Gators defense. Look, Florida's 3-4 in the SEC. They're 5-5 overall. They've lost 3 straight games. 43-20 to Georgia, 39-36 to an Arkansas team that won 2 wins at the 2 games at the time, 52-35 against LSU, and LSU was in a letdown against the Alabama loss. So note those defensive numbers: 43, 30, 52, gashed all 3 times. The last win, 41-39 at South Carolina. It's their only road win. The defense got gashed there too. We have a Florida team that has shown us more than once this year they're just not ready yet to step up in class, particularly on the highway. And we have a Missouri team that's just kicking ass and taking names. And basically, they've been an undervalued commodity from day one this year. Plain and simple. If I'm playing, I'm laying. Give me the Tigers minus the points Saturday night in Columbia. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
If I'm playing, I'm laying. That's a slogan on a t-shirt you can find at WagerMerch.com. It's also right below the screen on the YouTube video. So wherever the video is on YouTube, it's right below it. For some reason, it's not showing up for Canadians, but all you Americans, right below the video on YouTube, you will see our merch store, or you can visit WagerMerch.com. Carmine Bianco joining us, everyone. And Carm, we have some time, so let's start with the. Can you believe Jay Woodcroft got fired?
It's unfortunate, but it happens. Someone's got to be accountable, and unfortunately, it was him and not the players. I just want to say I was going to log off after Teddy's follow-up question to Bryan Power. I'm like, I can't do this. But Teddy's not the toughest. Like, I'm telling you, this guy is a detective. He will go after you. I love it.
Edmonton Oilers coach. Edmonton Oilers coach, Carm, fired with a 5% win percentage, takes Edmonton all the way to the semifinals, and has shit puck luck and bad goaltending. really shocking, but
Well,
be interesting to see. Yeah, go ahead.
It happens. A bad defense and two goalies who just don't have the support in front of them. Jack Campbell gets released or put on waivers. They send him down to the minors, and he's allowed 4 goals in each of his 2 games down in the
Yeah,
minors.
well,
He's not
he
even doing it
stinks.
down there, but he's getting
Yeah.
He's getting paid $5 million to do it. Highest paid guy in the minors right now, definitely for
Yeah,
sure. But it is, we see the coaches are the ones that end up taking it. They're taking it on the chin. They have 4 or 5 guys that they are never going to trade. Not to bring it back to Toronto, but Toronto has 4 core guys that they spend a lot of money on, and if the team doesn't produce, they won't get rid of them. So it
Yeah.
is the coach who's on the firing line. Unfortunately, we see it happen, and some teams have the coaches bounce. Edmonton won their first game since. You look at the Raiders in the NFL, new coach, a big W.
Well, just to clarify, everybody, Edmonton did not win their first game under their new coach. That game is tonight.
Sure?
Yes, I'm sure, Carm.
Right. The game against the Kraken wasn't okay. That's right. He was fired after they won the game. So that was even worse. After the game, they made the decision already.
Carm,
okay,
I say this to everybody in my life. You never need to say I'm right. It's redundant, and we all know. Okay, you got a Monday Night Football prop bet for us. Let's start there, and then we'll get to the NHL play.
Yeah, it's the I'm going to go with the Dawson Knox. Dalton Kinkaid prop over 52.5 yards. You're laying about a $1.30. I think this is a really good prop because number one, his last 3 games, he's no longer splitting targets with Dawson Knox, who's on IR. 23 receptions his last 3 games, 221 receiving yards, and you look at this Denver team. This Denver defense has gotten better since they came back from the bye. They're getting 2.3 sacks per game. They're holding teams to 218 passing yards per game. 3 TDs, 5 INTs, 80.5 QB rating. But the reason I like it here is I think Denver takes a page out of what Cincinnati did, which is cover 2 on Stephon Diggs. And literally they go after, they tell Josh Allen, beat us with someone else. You're not going to beat us with Diggs. You look at it last week, and he had 11 receptions, I think it was, or 9 receptions. He's gone over the total of his last 3 games. And I think the fact that he's going to have to get rid of that ball a little earlier, we're going to get a lot of targets again to Kinkaid. I think he's had 20, I think it was 27, I think I wrote down targets his last 3 games. He's getting the targets, and he's going to get the receptions. He's going to get the yards. 52.5 just seems like a low number, especially if they take a page out of Cincinnati's book last week that worked wonders for the Bengals in beating the Bills. I think Denver can keep it close tonight, and I think they're going to take Diggs out of the game. So we'll look for Kinkaid to get the numbers. He's been a prop better and a fantasy bettor's delight the last 3 weeks. And I think this is a good one for him to do it again.
So these Monday night games, Sunday night games, Thursday night games continue to fly under the total at a record-setting clips. Another under cash last night. We saw last Monday's game go under. I mean, it's just been an under machine all season. Denver's defense has shut down KC twice and Green Bay in their last 3 games, and I mean completely shut all 3 teams down. Why are we looking for over props in this game?
Well, you look at they shut down KC twice, but Travis Kelce, a phenomenal tight end, 6 catches, 58 yards, 9 catches, 124 yards in the 2 games against Denver. Tyler Conklin, 4 catches, 67 yards. Cole Kmet, 9 targets, 8 catches, 131 yards. The tight ends have done it against Denver. So this is another one where I'm going to go for the tight end to get the numbers. The 3 games in which the tight ends didn't do well against this Denver defense is the Dolphins, who obviously are more of a Tyreek Hill and Waddle passing to those two. Washington, who spread their targets throughout their 6 or 7 receivers that they have in tight ends. And then the Raiders, who are just a disaster on offense. Those are the three. The Bills are not either one of those ones, other than you can look at the Dolphins, but the Dolphins are more reliant on their wide receivers than they are their tight ends.
Carmine, we got time, baby. You can breathe. New York Islanders and the Oilers tonight.
Namaste.
You've got a prop bet for us on Noah Dobson. Fill us in.
Yeah, listen, the Islanders come in needing a win. And of course, we've got the new coach making his debut in Edmonton. He's a defenseman, and I look at the numbers. When I ran a report on the numbers, the Oilers, they allow a lot of shots to opposing teams' defense. Their last 3, Seattle 8, Vancouver 9, Nashville 8. Those don't seem like high numbers, but when it's coming from the defensive corps, it is a bigger number. Noah Dobson has the 4th highest shots on the Islanders team, behind guys like Barzell, Brock Nelson. So, and he's on the ice 24 plus minutes a game. Anytime you take a shot prop, and especially one with a defensive guy is a guy who's on the number 1 line, who's going to get a lot of ice time, and who's going to be on that number 1 power play unit. And his total's at 2.5. And he's gone over this number in, I think, 3 of his last 4 games. So I'm just going to stick with the hot hand and look for Noah Dobson to go over that number again tonight.
Carmine Bianco, everybody. Carm, I know, look, I bet your soccer plays. I mean, you're unbelievable, and your hockey is amazing. You've got a promo for us. Give it out.
Yeah, this one's tied to NFL. We come off a very good NFL weekend. We should have swept if the Detroit Lions could have covered the 3. That was the push. But we went 3-0-1 with our 4% best bets on Sunday. 3 plays up tonight. The NFL package through the Super Bowl, I think, is $339. If you pick that package up, we're going to toss in the rest of 2023. Every single soccer play. There's Champions League, Europa League, all the domestic leagues. There is Euro qualifying, which goes on this weekend. There's a ton of plays available, and you're going to get that free. That's about a $300 savings there. So you're getting two for the price of 1. All you got to do is purchase the NFL rest of the season and email customer support, and they will tack on all of 2023 soccer for you. So you get all of that as well.
Perfect. Carmine Bianco, everybody. Dave Redling thinks that the likes for my daily presidential address is too high. They're up 25% since last year. Well, Dave, we have 440 people watching the show live right now and 116 likes. I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that 25% of the people watching the show could take a moment and hit that like button. So I'm pretty comfortable with continuing it at 125. So with that said, make sure to buy my 4-pack tonight, guys. I got to play in every single sport that is going on. You get it for half price. Teddy, my brother, I'm excited about tomorrow's show, bro. Take us home.
Clearly. Yeah, you've hyped it 3 times. So I guess it's going to be a big show tomorrow right here on WagerTalk Today. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition. We'll do it again like we've hyped 3 times already. Same time, same channel tomorrow, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Stay tuned right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel for the NFL opening line report. Myself and Drew Martin at the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Enjoy the games and best of luck with all your wagers.